Smart girl.
I'd like to call to order the City of Keystone Heights Monday, July 11th council meeting. It is 6:20. We're going to start with the pledge. It's going to be offered this evening by Pastor Will Smith of Lake Hill Baptist Church, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by Mr. Beals. If you two would please come to the podium to speak into the microphone, we'd appreciate it. Will you all stand, please?
Lord Jesus, we do thank you for the day, Lord. We thank you for your many blessings that you bestow upon us on a daily basis. Father, we thank you for our city, for our community, for our country, for our churches, Lord. We thank you for everything that you've done for us and what you've put in place that we might live life and life more abundantly. Father, we pray for these proceedings tonight, Lord, that you'll have honor and glory. Father, we ask you to bless them, give them discernment and wisdom to make the decisions they need to. Father, we lift up this, and in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Ms. Rakowski, would you like to call roll, please?
Mayor Lake,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hart,
Here.
Councilman Bobby Brown,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilwoman Thompson.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item A is presentations. We're going to start with A, Northeast Florida League of Cities Board charitable donation. And I would ask all of council proceed and go down in front of the dais to make this presentation.
Some of y'all might not know, but in the state of Florida, we have Florida League of Cities that's in Tallahassee. And every region around the state of Florida has different cities, and we belong to the Northeast Florida League of Cities, which goes to Fernandina Beach and all the way down to Keystone. Every year we try, the board, which the council's allowed me to serve on the past couple of years, every year we try to do a donation. Each board member gets so much money to give to a charitable organization within their city. And we can split it in half, or I can give the whole thing. So this year, the board and the representatives here on this council is giving Lake Area Ministry Food Pantry, there you are, $350 to go for it. I always like to talk. Whoa. Okay. Tanya, you've taken on Lake Area Ministries in a time that this whole country was in a mess, and you were telling me the other day how many people are coming to the pantry.
We've done 2,097 families last quarter.
And just in our community. That's
And 127 families have not been there in the 2.5 years I've been there. They're new.
so. And I remember back when the pantry started was in the little hole where the bakery was at there on Commercial Circle is where it started. And a lot of vision from a lot of churches and the community got together and did that. Myself, the board of directors from the League of Cities, and I know the city council, we appreciate what you guys do and all your volunteers. Thank you.
Appreciate the support.
Thank you.
Our second presentation this evening is by the Clay County School District. We have representatives here, but I would first like to ask our school board member from this district to come forward. I know that she has a few words she'd like to share with us.
Is it a poem?
Thank you, Mayor and the council. I'm so appreciative. Before I introduce the presenters regarding the building projects that are going on at Keystone Heights Elementary School, I do have a poem for the council.
Hey,
Tonight, I pay tribute to our Keystone Heights City Council and all that they do. A job that is never easy and sometimes thankless, it's true. But I want you to know that when all is said and done, you're first rate. You stand tall to do the right things to make our community great. On behalf of the schools, I know it is no easy task. Roads, traffic, bells, kids, issues galore can amass. You've written school support resolutions, signed petitions, and so much more, but the community and I are grateful right down to our core. Years ago, a key to the city I was given for my service to all, and tonight I give you a key to thank you for always answering the call. Mirror Lake has the key. Like mine, it opens nothing, but it's from my heart. Thank you for your dedication to our schools and for playing a major part.
oh, thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, I am going to ask you one more thing. We're getting ready to have a presentation, but I want you to say out loud so everybody can see this on air that you want us to make sure we finish the job, not just finish phase 1, but phase 2 and the completion of this project. And that's what I preach every board meeting when I have an opportunity. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the architect, Paul Stressing, and our own Keystonian and district office staff, Bruce Harvin. Thank you both for coming.
It's all you, sir. He's done this once or twice, and he knows it by heart.
Thank you all very much. And I'd like to first say that it's a privilege to continue working with the Clay County School District and Keystone Heights. I've been involved in a number of major projects for Keystone Heights. Years ago, the gymnasium at the high school, and then at the elementary school, the administrative portion. And I'm proud to have the ability to continue my efforts at the elementary school. Elementary school is kind of a unique project, as we all are aware, and over the years how any project, it's kind of interesting because when a project develops and when budget becomes a real concern, you see where a lot of times the future development becomes a knee-jerk reaction. And it's like, where's the most economical place to put a building, and where are the utilities? And so I think the elementary school is a perfect example of that, where things were just kind of put out of convenience. And I was brought aboard and discussed the need to do an overall master plan and really kind of digest the existing campus. What does it look like now? What does it look like in this next phase of development, and what would be a master plan? So I was selected and to do a overall master plan, and the project scope of the work was master plan, a new cafetorium, and an 8-classroom suite, and then to enhance the overall site and site conditions. That particular campus is unique. It has some very unique drainage components to it. If you all have been through the campus, you know some of the enticed nuisances that are in the middle of the campus, and from electrical transformers in the middle of the campus to drainage collection tanks under the ground. A lot of people don't realize a lot of that center area. I'm gonna refer real quick to some of the boards here. I didn't bring a flash drive, but I will go ahead and send it tomorrow. But I'd like to take a minute, just kind of familiarize yourself or ourselves with what we're doing, and then currently, and then as Ms. Tina mentioned, the potential for some additional enhancement over there and part of the master planning. So I'm going to talk real briefly. This is the overall campus here. I know it might be hard to see, so I'll walk through somewhat briefly. This is the front cafetorium. Here's the church right here. This is the current drop-off and parking area, the admin building. This area right here in the center, the 4th and 5th and pre-K, those buildings are 65 years old, so they're old. They've seen
the days, and that's kind of our overall Achilles heel on the overall campus is this component here, because you've got the pre-K and first grade and the media center here, which are Mr. Van Zant's building, and those things are built like a fortress. And we're using those in part of our effort now. And then you've got a series of portables, modular units, and then you've got the gymnasium. The overall large courtyard area here and the play courts, what we're looking at is putting in a new cafetorium. And the cafetorium is a cafeteria with a theatrical component to it. Stage and performances and things of that, which hence the name cafetorium. That's going to be located in here, and what we're going to do is digesting the whole site. I don't know if you all realize it, but from this corner here to this corner down here, there's a 17-foot drop in elevation, and all the drainage carries over through here. It collects in the center area right here, and your electric transformers are right here as well. So what we're going to do is we digested the whole thing. You also have a serious traffic issue right here with parents coming in and out and deliveries, coming through this driveway and coming in here. Our overall solution to that is going to be, and again, I'm gonna kind of walk you through. A lot of people haven't really looked at blueprints before, so I'm going to walk through. Any questions, please feel free to ask. So this is the front parking lot here. This is the admin building and the current cafetorium here. What we're proposing to do, and it was recently bid, we're going to the school board at the next school board meeting to get the contractor's pricing approved. We're going to build a new building right here, and in doing this, we're going to straighten out the drive here, correcting the drive issues, separating the incoming traffic from the outgoing traffic. Now, there's a couple things unique about this, and right now there's a memorial right in this area right here. We're going to rebuild that memorial and put it in a more public place. Right now, when you drive by there with the trees and everything, you almost don't even see it. So we'd like to put it in a higher profile area in order to pay homage to the veteran for that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring, right now, the current cafetorium, the service drive is here. So while cars are parked in here, plus trucks come in and have to access that service drive. We're taking the service drive and moving it off of Peach Street here, which is a regular route for the traffic to come anyway, but we're separating it from the campus. By bringing the cafetorium here, initially when we did the admin building a few years ago, 12 years ago, I think, the ESE building here was the old admin building. So what the overall goal was to reshift the front of the school to the east side. And now in doing that, you've got your admin and guidance here, you've got the cafetorium here. And then what we'll do is when the cafetorium vacates, we're going to take the current media center, which is here, and move to the cafetorium in order to get a modernized media center. The other thing that does as well is with the concern with school safety and controlling people coming in and out of the campus, it takes the media center. A lot of times cafetoriums and media centers are two activities typically in a school campus that have weekend and evening access. So by bringing the media center back up to the front, we can lock down the campus completely, and there's no reason for anybody to be in the campus who shouldn't be there, because now we've got the media center, we brought it right up into here. So any nighttime and weekend activities, you've got parking right here, you utilize the cafetorium for performances and for activities. You've got the media center, and the media center will be accessed through the admin area. The rest of the campus is completely locked down. Now, what we're going to do is in the service drive area here, because we have a collection area for drop off and pickup and the cafetorium, we're going to take the service drive and we're going to convert that into an amphitheater with sales structures for the kids to actually create an area close to pickup and drop off to where kids can collect. You catch just a glimpse of it right here. This is the exterior of the building. What we're looking at doing is complementing the existing admin architecture with the low brick and stucco, but this gives you an idea of what the cafetorium looks like on the outside and the actual amphitheater. that will be right in this area right here. So by bringing the media center, we can modernize the media center. It has immediate access to the outside. Then with this is the overall master plan. What we'd like to try to do is the next plan is lose the old 65-year-old buildings here. And then this would be a future classroom wing. Then the portables will be reduced and we would put another classroom wing here. What that will allow us to do now is it keeps all of our academic components lined up right off the media center and off the admin, and it creates a student pedestrian spine down the middle. So now we're eliminating all the meandering walkways, and what we're doing is we're taking the electrical transformer, that transformer is moving down here. We're redoing all this area in here to eliminate all the different slopes. We're gonna have a few stairs and a few strategically located ramps. And this ramp, we're gonna do a retaining wall here, and that's where we're gonna get our change in elevation. Now, with this, part of the scope of work was an 8-classroom suite. So we looked at when the media center moves over to the cafetorium, that frees the media center up, and we're able to get 6 classrooms in the media center. We're still too short, so what we did was we took the cafetorium where the stage is, and we brought an art and a music suite onto the back of the cafetorium. And what that will allow us to do is we'll have ramps up from the music room into the back of the stage. So now students don't need to walk outside and into the cafeteria to get into the stage. They access it behind it. Curtains are closed. They can do whatever set up in the staging they need to. Then the curtains open, and then they can use during a performance, they can use the music building back behind it. The music suite, they can use that for staging. And you dealing with elementary school kids, there's a lot of strategy that has to go into organization and keeping kids in line and trying to keep everybody controlled, because otherwise sometimes they're just go and do their own thing. They're kids. And so this way it'll allow us to go ahead and allow the teachers to go ahead and create some structure behind the scenes for the actual performance. So we got our 6 classrooms, we got our 2 additional classrooms, we have our cafetorium. Now in doing this, we have to take the playground and the hard court and relocate it to here. If you go by now, you see that under construction right now. And what we're doing is we're doing a covered pavilion. So the kids now have a covered area to play. And then on the outside of this building, this is squared off in here for a covered area. That's so that the art department has an outdoor area, a covered area where outdoor art activity could occur. And then we have our sports court, so the campus is now going to have a covered play area with basketball. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5, 4 square. We've got hopscotch, and we're going to go ahead and lay out the whole hard court for all kinds of activities for the kids. That's what's going on in here. These 2 buildings right here have already been relocated up here. But I think in general, what I think the overall goal was going to be create this pedestrian spine here and ultimately clean up, and I think that's what Ms. Tina was alluding to. Right now, the scope of the work is cleaning this parking up here, doing the new cafetorium, doing a new hard court, converting the old cafetorium into a media center, and taking the old media center and converting that into the classrooms. This component right here is the master plan, which is future. I think what we'd like to try to do is minimize and get rid of as many of the portables and modulars as possible. And what we've done, and we just did this over at Howard Bishop Middle School for Alachua County. We did 2-story classroom buildings. You put the younger kids on the first floor, the older kids on the second floor. But in doing that, what it does is it opens up the areas here. Ultimately, we'd like to try to do is by doing this, we can eliminate all these portables over here. Then you've got the gymnasium. Now you've got another sports field over here for the gymnasium. You also open it up for the high school after hours. If they need parking on it, they can go ahead and use that for parking. So in general, this is the dining room building. Our service drive comes into the back. The existing campus right now does not have a central receiving, so we've got a large central receiving area. We'll have huge walk-in cooler freezers. This campus, something I did mention, currently I think there's 856 students I think enrolled. We're designing this cafetorium for 1,200 students. Whenever you do campus design, this is called a core facility, which is the media center and the cafetorium. And by designing it for 1,200 kids, what it allows us to do is do future expansions without being penalized, because, I mean, if you do permanent construction, you need to accommodate for the kids. So this is designed for 1,200 students. And then you have your dining room with a projection booth, you've got your stage area, this is music, and then this is the art, and when you've got, this is the art patio on the outside. And then this is the actual covered sail structure, and this is the tail end right here of the existing cafetorium that's going to be the media center. To give you kind of an appreciation for what we've been able to put together, and let me just say, the facility department in Clay County, and I work with a lot of different school districts, 12 of them. And Clay County, I can't compliment enough. And your school board representative, I can tell you behind the scenes, is pushing the envelope as much as she possibly can. And as she mentioned, it wouldn't hurt to have some additional help about taking it to the next level with some of the master planning. But to give you an idea of the interior of this building, this is a view of the stage from the cafetorium. These are all acoustical panels because of the acoustics in it. Cafetorium is kind of unique because on one hand, for performance, you want to be careful with your acoustics so you don't have reverberation and things of that nature, but you want the sound to get to the back. But in the cafetorium mode, you want to suck up as much sound as you can because of the noise. So we've architecturally treated all the ceilings throughout it, and then looking at the serving line, this is the view back to the serving line. So what I wanted to do today is just give you a little bit of a crash course. We've worked with the city manager on another presentation. We're talking about possibly doing another to the community where we have a large model and things like that, and basically, encourage the public to come in and kind of see what's going on in their community. But we've been able to do as much as we can. As we all know, when you see with gas prices, construction costs have been through the roof, which makes it really awkward for the facility department to present something that had a budget a year and a half ago, only to find out it's gone up 20 to 25% because of the current nature of the construction. So that's where we're faced right now. But Scorpio Construction out of Gainesville is a contractor. I've worked with them on Howard Bishop. They're a great contractor. They're going to utilize as much of local help as they can and encourage use of restaurants, use of hotels, things of that nature. Anything we can do, we will. And they're a strong advocate of trying to keep things as local as possible. So, with that being said, are there any questions?
As he discussed, with me and Tony, and I'm sure some others too, I know Mrs. Bullock, that we started school there. It was first grade through seniors. The kindergarten.
We were in the original elementary, or the original building for our campus.
So you can imagine the hodgepodge that's there now through the years that has been developed. So not only will energy efficient buildings be added, but this is just the first phase of a whole total makeover of this campus. It's going to be really great. In safety and security, it was foremost, or front and center, I should say, on this project as well. And real quick, you want to talk about the shelter enhancement that we're going to do with this?
Sure. What we're doing in this particular project, because when you look at the needs, and we work with emergency management, this building isn't going to be a full-time shelter, but it is going to be an immediate evacuation area. What we're doing is what's called a code plus. For example, this area, the wind speed is I think 131 mile an hour. We're designing for 145 mile an hour. We're doing impact resistant glass and glazing. We're doing an emergency generator, for the building. Because the building itself is masonry and brick veneer, the character of the construction kind of complies with all the impact, requirements as well. So we're able to greatly enhance the actual building itself by, and that's what we're referring to as a code plus building.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? You want to start with Mr. Brown?
First of all, I applaud you guys for doing this because it's way overdue, way overdue. And it's like Bruce was saying, we were in our cafeteria was the original schoolhouse for Keystone, and it's set right where the administration is. And you talk about the water issue. There's I don't know if it's still there, but it's in the old buildings where you go where the restrooms are. You walk through there, and that was always underwater if it rained. So
Yeah, move the sandbags now.
yeah, I don't think we even had sandbags back then. We just got wet. So, this kind of looks like the cafeteria at McCrae to me. Is that the McCrae Elementary? The front of that building right there kind of looks like the cafeteria.
This is gonna be much nicer.
Well, I hope so. I just, I've been waiting on tonight. Miss Bullock and I spoke the other day, and I told her I'm very sentimental, and everybody around here knows I am. I hate to see old things taken away, but it's just those old school buildings need to go, and they don't need to wait for the master plan. I know you got to have a master plan, but we're getting ready to get a development come in, and I still disagree with 11 students. I think we're going to have how can you have 11 students when you have 50-something houses? And then we got another development coming. So I would say the school board needs to really knuckle down and focus on going ahead and doing it and getting it done. We've done that at our beach when we had the opportunity to go ahead and finish it instead of piecemealing it. I would like to see the school board not piecemeal it. Go ahead, finish what you got here, but just keep moving. Don't stop. Just because we do need the school buildings, and those old buildings need to go because they are old. And I mean,
65 years old.
yeah, well,
They've lived their life.
they have.
Just real quick to that point, the cafeteria, right? That cafeteria, I did the calculations, that cafeteria is designed for 275 students. You've got 850 in there now.
Wow.
Just to give you an appreciation for what time does. One of the things that early on that Ms. Bullock and I in the school facility department talked about is that is a time for a new campus and a new school, and we talked about that a little bit. And I think, because you were set, you wanted a new school, and we talked. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, and part of it is I love the school. I've done a lot of work there. It has character that not many schools have. I think when you look at the existing parking that's there, when you look at the buildings that are good buildings, the Mr. Van Zant buildings and the admin, all that, it needs some tender loving care. The areas that really need it, and again, by us cleaning up the driveway in here, it's these buildings right here. The 65-year-old buildings, if those buildings could be gone. Now the problem with that is to take those out, you need to accommodate those students. And so one of the things that we were proposing in the master plan is relocate a few of these portables, build the new classroom here. Once this is done, then tear these down, then build that building, which is what the master plan shows, basically the 3 buildings. And you already have the one building right here, which is a great building, and again, that is built structurally. That's one of those. These 2 buildings, and I've known Mr. Van Zant for years. When he builds something, it doesn't go anywhere. It is a solid building, and these buildings are. So there's a way to make this look like a new campus without going through to do. And I'm doing the new Bradford County Elementary School, $60 million for that school. You could by doing these buildings in here like this, it's still a lot of money. I mean, right now, without knowing the exact numbers, to do what we're doing here, and part of it is just the overall site improvements, is about $20 million, if not a couple dollars more. To do the 2 other buildings, you're looking at about $10 million per building. So literally for $40 million, you could have a brand spanking new campus versus a $65 million if you would have built, starting from scratch. So there's some real merit to preserving this, but more importantly, I think there's a lot of people who went to school here. There's a lot of, relationships, and to lose this campus, I think would be, it's doable, but I think for a fraction of the cost of a new school, this could very well look like a new campus without too much effort.
Right. Now, where your new cafeteria, that's going to be part of the old football field?
That's correct.
Is that,
That's correct.
okay.
And there's a memorial down here. We're gonna redo that memorial. And as I mentioned, Ms. Tina, what I do on all my projects is I like to give something back as being part of the project, and I wanna take that on as a pet project to do just a really incredible memorial we like to put back. And we're gonna get with the P coaches and anybody interested to help develop that and locate that and write it.
Coach Kirkley?
His firm's,
You got Coach Kirkley? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Rather than bearing it into the overall construction cost, by making it a separate project, it's gonna be my personal pet project. It is a give back to Clay County.
Excellent. Any other, any
yeah.
other comments?
I'd like to say something. I graduated my senior year in that school, here in Keystone, when it was kindergarten through 12th grade, yes. So you're not alone. I was there.
That's when that was the admin building.
Yes, exactly right. And I have granddaughters that go to that school now, so I'm familiar with the setup. I recently went to an event in one of the old classrooms in the old building, and it hadn't changed since I graduated high
We
school.
replaced the windows.
Yeah.
They were it was so full of stuff I couldn't see the windows, but it was interesting. But I would like to see all the portables go, because they look ragged down, and I think we deserve a new school. And I love the building, the main building, and I love the new building. When my granddaughter was going there, I was very impressed with that. I would like to see all the portables go. I think we deserve it.
There's a portable reduction act, and that's part of it, so, I just wanna say a final thing. Please do send emails to the school board saying, finish it off. Don't stop now. Construction costs aren't gonna get any less.
No?
We need to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and do what we need to do. And the bottom line is, our students are A students on the inside, we're an A district. Let's make them an A student on the outside too. That's what we need to do. They deserve it.
Miss Tina is fighting. I've been in meetings. And I can tell you there's no stronger advocate for not only the district, but for this elementary school. And she's fighting awful hard to get the future buildings done as well. And they can, the school board's only going to do whatever they, the squeaky wheel. So,
Yes.
and I think you've made it as squeaky as possible. That anything that could, anything that you all could do, I think would take this to the next level. And to your point, construction's not getting cheaper. Okay, I know what it was I was going to mention to you. Flint Overshays Glass in Gainesville called me up the other day and he said, I'm just letting you know. He said, in 3 weeks, our glass prices are going up 40%. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And he said, no, because of petroleum, all these fires making glass, they're all petroleum based and they're all fuel for. And so you're starting to see people were hoping it was going to come down, and it might come down a little bit, but it's going to go back up a little bit. I think there's some gaming going on in the stock market and some of the different things. But I think what you're going to see is numbers going to stay high. And when you look at 40% increase in one jump just in the manufacturing of glass, that's
Thank you. I think it's safe to say that this council would support
Most definitely.
writing another resolution and adopting a resolution which conveys our sentiment that we really support our schools here in Keystone Heights, and we'll do everything we can in order to make that happen. And to your point, there was a couple of points you made that I thought was really important. It's really hard on staff to start and stop construction. Once you get into the construction mode, it is like what you say, you want to rip the Band-Aid off. You want to just get everything done and let those teachers and those students get back to a new normal as soon as possible. And I think that's important for their overall mental health in that term. And then I didn't hear anything about bathrooms. Where are the new bathrooms going to be? Because the bathrooms there at Keystone are horrible.
We have, as part of this, we have a series of restrooms. We have inside the building, what we have is when you walk in the entrance, we have restrooms. We've got large restrooms down the side. The other thing we have is, and what we did was with the grade change, with this being an outdoor amphitheater, we're doing outdoor restrooms here. We have a male, female, and then a family that could be used on the level down here. And you still have the use of these restrooms, but again, these restrooms, they're in 65
Yes.
65 years old.
Yep.
So what we did was, because I was restricted to the budget we had with this, we were able to include new outdoor restrooms here to complement those over
Okay.
there.
Okay. And then I think the last one that we really want to focus as far as the resolution is emphasize the fact that we're saving this district millions of dollars by reusing existing structures. I think that's an important point.
I'd like to build off of what Mr. Brown said earlier as far as the capacity of the school. I think you said 1,200 is the target. And we know from things that have come to the council that there's going to be tremendous growth in this area. At one time, I think the superintendent downplayed that. I hope he's changed his mind. I assume he has, just from seeing what's on the ground. Population of Clay County increased by, what, about 14%? Census over census. Keystone only 1 or 2%, but that's going to change because everything's moving in this direction. So I would hope that when you start talking capacities, you might set your target a little higher than 1,200, because I think that would be more realistic. That's the only comment I have. I commend you for your presentation, and I think we're on the right track. When the sales tax increase came in, we were told 2 or 3 different times that we were going to get a new school. Of course, we didn't. That still is remembered, but I think this may be a good temporary Band-Aid, but it won't be a long-term Band-Aid. That's my opinion.
I think in that letter, you can pitch the point that by doing this, you would be saving an incredible amount of money by not doing the new campus, by doing the other buildings, and it'll be a fraction of what a new campus would be. When you look at the infrastructures for electric, sewer, water, all the paving and all that stuff, you have it. So you've got the starting, you've got the grassroots of a brand new campus here. You really do, especially with the new cafeteria. Now you're talking about just classroom replacement.
Yeah.
Get rid of the portables and you want something more permanent.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I ask Bruce something? And I just thought of this because you're talking about restrooms, and I should know this. I know the high school is on a sewer system type package thing. Is the elementary school on something like there is?
We're on the one at high school.
Is piped through?
It runs
Is that?
along here, it goes across the street and then back to the back of the.
That's the problem we had a couple years ago with the piping across the parking lot we were talking about? Okay.
Yeah, when under the gym.
Right, okay.
It all goes back to the back of the
Back there?
high school.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question. What's the capacity of the school now?
Capacity of the school.
How many
And again,
students
they
go?
base it on what your cafeteria is, and we were over capacity according to that.
Right, how many students attend?
We had about 860 students.
So you're going from like 800 up to 1,200?
Okay. Any other?
Thank you. And then we'll go ahead and give an update from time to time. It's always a pleasure. And again, as Ms. Tina mentioned before, we're all part of the community. Let's do this and have fun while we're doing it and make everybody happy and proud.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again for coming out. Bruce, you too.
Thank you.
So council, if you'll keep an eye on your calendars over the next week, I've been working with Mr. Griffiths at the school district. We're going to schedule an open house down at the pavilion so that they can bring their model down and really dig deep into question and answers. That is scheduled for probably the last week of July, first week of August, right before school starts, as parents and families start coming back in from vacations.
Okay. We'll go to item 2, public comments. Ms. Rakowski, do you have any public comments?
I have 2. The first one is, I did not know that this was your name. Mr. Elston Kessler.
Otherwise known as Speedy.
Yeah, Mr. Speedy.
Thank you.
Welcome. Can you state your name for the record and where you live?
Yes, I will. It's Elston Cussler. I live at 420 Palmetto Avenue. I have a golf cart that I use most of the time for the church and all that for working. And I was notified I should address the city council about driving it on the roads. I also use it like to run the A's if I go get some landscaping mulch and stuff like that, instead of driving my truck, which uses more gas. That's all I wanted to address. I really don't want to get in trouble riding on the road, and they said I should address the city council about it. I guess nobody ever has. Mine is totally street legal. It has brake lights, headlights, horn, everything that a car would have. That's all I got to say. I just wanted to bring it up and see what answers I would get.
We actually don't have a lot of dialogue with public comment, Speedy, but what we can do is put it on a future agenda and have council bring it back up here to the dais and discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that okay with council?
That you'd like to see at the next meeting?
Yes. And if you could kind of do some research for us on what other cities do so that we can have information ready and available,
Sure.
that will give us a head start. Okay, your second public comment card?
Yes. So the next public comment is Mr. Daniel Finley. But before we do that, I just wanted to express to our council my gratitude to him over the past several years of being a pastor inside the city limits, and he's always been there for technology needs and city needs, and he's been a part of the community. And so it is with kind of a sad heart that I bring him to the podium.
So I think we know what we're going to hear, but go ahead. We want to state your name and address.
And it
for the
is,
record.
yes, Daniel Finley for the next 8 days, resident at 560 Southeast Lakeview Drive. Sunday will be my final Sunday at First Baptist, where we've been there almost 10 years now.
Wow.
And I guess I did kind of unofficially claim the title of the unofficial city council chaplain during COVID, at least.
Yes, you did.
But I wanted to come and just in public comment say thank you to each and every single one of y'all for your dedicated work to this city, to say goodbye to you, and also just to pass briefly my best pastoral wisdom I could give you. And that is, as you've already discussed a little bit here in the presentation of the city or the school board, is do not be afraid of growth. This is a treasure we have here in Keystone Heights. The town that we're moving to is a great, great community. But there's a lot about Keystone Heights that I'm going to miss. My kids have benefited by being here, and I've benefited by being here as well. You might very well see us come back for the next 4th of July for all the parades. Next year won't be an election year, so the parade will be shorter. But if inflation is the concern right now, based on the candy that was thrown out at the parade, inflation has not hit the candy market yet. But
It has.
Yeah, they were quite generous. But just to, again, encourage you as you manage and as you work through people that will come here with ideas for growth, do not be afraid of that. There is so many people that need to see and learn how great Keystone is, and let their kids benefit from that as well. Also, too, not only to, I guess, not be afraid of growth, but to keep your eyes on the purpose. Keep your eyes on the purpose behind why you sit in each and every one of those chairs. Small towns, the town I'm going to, Adel, Georgia, they told me, and they said, Pastor, don't worry, if you ever forget what your business is, just ask someone, they will let you know what it is. And Keystone Heights in many ways is that similar. And many times you are working with people that you have known for years. Even as y'all were talking about just a minute ago, Tony, being the connection with this town, remembering what the school was like when you were a little kid, and now you've got grandchildren that are going to the elementary school as well, and many times you've known one another for decades. So sometimes that can pull us apart from the purpose of why you sit in those chairs. So just as a loving pastor, I would say keep your eyes on the purpose why you are here, help this city grow and do what it needs to do. I'm going to continue to pray for you. I may not be able to be here and physically pray for you, but you are in my prayers as you continue your work. And thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving to Agenda Item 3, Public Hearing, 19-08-23-022578-001-00. The item is named Country Meadows Zoning. This is the second hearing for this PUD.
Madam Mayor, I think that council has heard a good bit at the last hearing. The only change from this ordinance versus the last one was the one that the motion was made on of the 52 versus 55 lots. Other than that, everything is the same that you discussed and you saw at our last hearing.
Are there any questions from council to staff about this PUD? Seeing no questions, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we read by title.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0.
Ordinance 2022-595, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, amending the city zoning map by amending approximately 13.87 acres of real property owned by Duck Road Development Group Incorporated from residential single-family to a planned unit development, providing findings by the City Council, providing direction for recording, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. I will open a public hearing. A public hearing is open. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Anyone who would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Before we bring it back to council, I need to ask each council member if you've had any interactions with the applicant.
I have not.
No.
No? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion before we go to a vote?
I move passage of ordinance 2022-595.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So you're done. Thank you. Congratulations. We are moving on to agenda item 4. It's a resolution, 2022-05 road closure resolution. Is there a motion to read by short title?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Would you like to read the resolution by short title, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Resolution 2022-5, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, authorizing the execution of a Florida Department of Transportation temporary road closing permit application, providing for an immediate effective date.
Any questions of staff on this? You've seen it. This is for Boo on the Boulevard. Any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I move approval.
Second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to events. Our first event is National Night Out, being offered by the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion to approve this event?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. The Heritage Committee Plaque Workshop. Is there a motion to pass this event?
Also move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 I
Any
will
op-
speak to this under a council comment, too.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0. The last event application is the KLRBA Christmas Party at the Pavilion Rental. Any questions of staff about this application?
Madam Mayor, this is different versus the other events. As KLRBA will be, this application does include the use of alcohol inside the pavilion.
Okay. Recognizing that fact, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In one motion, let's pass the consent agenda. We're looking at the financials of May, the payables of May, and the minutes from the June meeting. Is there a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, we pass the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Nothing under old business. I have 10 minutes, Mr. Kirkland, to be under an hour. Oh, my God. All right, let's start with the committee reports, budget and finance. This probably should come from Ms. Rakowski. Do you want to talk about the audit?
So I have included in your packets both the our general audit, which includes the airport audit, and then our CRA audit. As you know, this year we were required to do a different or a separate audit for our community redevelopment area, and we'll continue to do that moving on. Overall, it was a pretty good audit. There's a couple of findings within the CRA that we've cleaned up for staff, and then there was one specific finding that was in the general fund that's also being cleaned up. Mr. Brad Millions will be here in August to present the audit in full. If you have any specific questions regarding that, feel free to email me and I can email him directly. That way we can get those answered prior to his presentation.
Okay, thank you. Anything from growth management?
Nothing.
Keystone Heights Airport Authority for a short report.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I do have a short report. There's a couple of items I had mentioned last month at the meeting. High fuel costs is having an impact on general aviation. We're seeing a pretty significant slowdown, not as much activity. Our 100 low lead avgas is now at $6.50 per gallon. We're still one of the lowest in the state, but we're still seeing that issue that's before us. I mentioned last month also that we had executed a 110-acre timber contract, so we took care of that at the last meeting. That tree thinning project will do a couple of things. It will keep us compliant with FDOT as far as potential trees that are in approach patterns to our runways, so it takes care of that as well as some safety issues that they require. Speaking of audit, our 2021 and 22 audit was completed in May. Brad Million and Carol Wainwright with Reddish and White were at our last board meeting on June the 6th, and they found very minor procedural findings, just some things between Rebecca Williams, our accountant, and some things we do in-house as far as just the way some things are posted. Overall, though, it was an excellent report, and I'm sure he'll touch base as well in the report that he'll give to you, because our report has to be completed, before yours, so that will be part of it. Ms. Searcy met with Ms. Ratowski and Mr. Cornegay on June the 10th, and they also met with Clayton Levins with Smart North Florida. Mr. Levins brought a representative from a Canadian-based company looking at various locations in Clay County for relocation of his business. That meeting went well. He was highly impressed with what we have at the airport, so we're hoping to hear more about potentially them moving to the airport. Ms. Searcy is scheduling a kickoff meeting later this month with interested volunteers for scheduling and planning of the airport's 80th anniversary community celebration. Our goal is to schedule sometime in October or November. It'll be a one-day event. It'll be free and open to the public. So I'll be bringing more information to you as that progresses. I think I mentioned this last month, but just to, as a recognition, our previous airfield supervisor, Luke Four, young man, his last day was June 14th. He and his new family have headed to Alaska to begin their new life together. Luke was an employee of the airport on and off for about 7 years. He's going to be missed, but we wish him nothing but happiness and warmth.
Yeah, gotta need it.
Our new airfield supervisor, Mike Sherbach, he's no stranger to the Keystone Airport. Both of Mike's sons, Brian and Chris, have worked at the airport in their younger years, part-time. So Mike is a seasoned pilot. He also comes to us with a lot of airfield experience, and we're happy to have him on board. In addition to Mike Sherbach, we have also filled our 2 part-time airfield staff positions. This, as you are well aware, is our most active season because of the grass that grows, and with all of this rain and heat, we have a 600-acre infield, just the infield. There's a lot to mow, and so we have brought on 2 part-time folks, Justin Crawford and Joni Miller is on our team now, and the facility really looks good. They do a great job of keeping up with it. Ms. Cersei will be attending the Florida Airports Council annual conference in Orlando later this month. This conference showcases Florida's great airports. It recognizes international, regional, as well as general aviation improvement projects and the millions of dollars programmed each year to help our aviation community stay operational and safe. It's also an opportunity for those who attend to engage in the conference's general and breakout sessions, and obviously there's the latest information on aviation and facilities. So she always comes back with a lot of good information. Information for us. Current projects, we continue to work on our taxi lane rehabilitation project as well as the runway 1129 lighting project. Both of those projects are going to begin construction in January of 2023. The last item is Clay County Utility Water and Facility Report is nearing completion. It should be available this month. We're going to submit that to CCUA later this month, as well as some of the major stakeholders involved in that. And that's all I have to present. Any questions?
It sounds like you guys are rocking right along.
We're rocking along. A lot of stuff going on. Good things.
Good things are happening.
Mayor, I would like to add one thing, and I don't know, I had the opportunity several years to go up in one of your little planes at one of our league dinners we had out there. If you haven't been up at the airport and see what Keystone looks like from the sky,
It's pretty phenomenal.
I highly recommend getting with David, and he can set you up with somebody and just go up, because I mean it is amazing to be able to be up in the air and look down on Keystone and see what we look like from the sky.
Yeah, it's a different perspective.
Yep.
It looks better from an airplane than Google Earth.
Said the airplane salesman everywhere, right? Planning and zoning, Ms. Rakowski, do you have anything?
No, Madam Mayor, I do not.
Okay. The Heritage Commission,
Realize we only have 2 minutes. I just wanted to go on the record to commend the Heritage Commission and Nina. She couldn't be here tonight. She's an executive with Abbott Labs and is traveling. But the tradition of carrying on the plaquing program is dear to my heart, because I was involved in that in the city of Elgin. The plaque design we brought directly from the city of Elgin, Illinois. I'm glad to see that she's still maintaining it. So that's all I have.
okay. Nothing under new business. How do we do that? That's amazing.
We had a development that consumed a lot of council's energy.
Yeah. All right, start with Mr. Tony Brown.
I just want to thank everybody for the 4th of July and Kiwanis and just everybody that was part of it. I know our fireworks didn't work out as planned, but that's going to be better next year. But it's just nice to be able to go down and see how many people still come out to Keystone for the 4th of July, like Pastor said. And but I want to thank staff for all the hard work they've done for that event, and keeping our streets looking good and everything. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
I'd just like to say goodbye to the pastor of First Baptist. Just knowing you're there, you've been a good friend, and I'm going to miss you. I think Keystone's going to really miss you, and good luck. People up there in Georgia need saving too. Yes, sir. But thank you for everything.
I just want to second both Tony and Bobby. And I'm your neighbor, and you'll be missed.
I guess I'll do a third on that one. Gonna miss you, Dan.
Yes, thank you, especially during COVID. You were rock solid. Never looked frazzled online, you know, he was very calm, cool, and it was wonderful.
We never had to tell him to unmute.
He was on the button. And so, yes, from myself as well, I know I attended a number of events downtown, and everything went off really well from all the groups that participated. We are who we are because groups like Kiwanis and others do things for our residents to enjoy. And one of the pleasures of being an elected official is being able to show up to those things and celebrate with everyone who's worked really hard to be there and put it on. There was a couple of other things that happened this month I want to mention because some groups have stepped out. AMVETS held a Flag Day ceremony, which was really, really wonderful, and I enjoyed attending that. Mission of the Dirt Road and Answers sponsored a trauma-informed communities workshop. It was a 4-hour workshop at the elementary school. Incredibly interesting information, and there were 60 of us there listening, and so I feel like we have, you know, a better informed community with our leaders. I was able to do a citizenship lesson with the Boy Scout troop. That was fun. I hope they learned something. I had a good time. You know, this is kind of how it goes, I think. And then, of course, Mr. Kirkland and I know we're at the back to school event at Community Church, and I share with him, I share with everyone. Every year something happens at that event that warms my heart and makes me feel like we do the right things for our students who are underserved. And then Saturday, when it was really, really hot, we went in and we did a cleanup in High Ridge Estates. And so that was well received, I thought. And we got a lot of stuff out of Denison. We focused on Denison Street and took out a hot tub, 2 sofas, a stove. So all of that is not in the front yard anymore. So felt good. And I wanted to ask again, I know I got 1 submission for honoring people of impact in our community. Got 2?
Yes, so 2 of those in parentheses were doubled up. They're people that they submitted.
Okay, so I think I only got 1 email, but I'll check with you
Right,
later.
so but I included 1 email because the 2 council people that responded had the same submissions.
Oh,
So
perfect.
yes.
Well, that's great. Okay, so anybody else wants to submit it, just please send over to Lynn, and I'll put together a schedule for that. We'll start in August. I felt it was too soon, you know, to notify people for this meeting. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Rakowski.
Real quick, Mr. Kirkland alluded to the technical level with CCUA. We met with their engineer, Eric AECOM, and Bill Prang to discuss their findings at the airport, and so we're excited to be able to move forward, optimistic that we'll be able to gain traction on that once it's completed. It's being, the technical memo is being submitted to CCUA right now just to make sure that everything lines up with what they're asking, what CCUA is asking for from the engineer, and it should be completed within the next couple of months. It was mentioned several times, our Country Day event, it went off really well. There was a couple of hiccups that happened, but nothing fatal, nothing astronomical, nothing that we can't take care of, that weather didn't kind of get in the way from. The fireworks was an issue, but Stark had the same issue, and it was weather related. With that being said, I've had several conversations with many of the board members of OCD, and as they were last year, they're looking at what their future is going to look like, on whether or not they want to ask the city to take on this event, or if they're going to turn it over to another organization, or if they're going to turn it over to different leadership. I will say that Mr. Hilton is he's pretty consumed with business that he's created over at Steen Hatchie, and congratulations to both him and Melissa. It's very successful over there, but they're looking to kind of part ways with our Country Day. They've been doing it for several years. So once their board meets, we'll be bringing that back to council on what the decision is going to be. You passed the resolution for Boo on the Boulevard. We'll talk about this a little bit more next month. This is something that if we move forward, city's event, we're prepared to do so. I'm working with Clay County right now to talk about a volunteer database, which will be very helpful for this end of the county. We've had several conversations with various residents about bringing back the Keystone Farmers Market, and we've had several interests from vendors. And so next month we'll be talking about the Keystone Corner Market. Will be a monthly farmers market that'll be held behind City Hall, and that'll be something that we can put on by the city staff as well. Outside of that, I have nothing more to report.
Okay, Mr. Commando? Nothing else? Okay. Anybody, anything else for the good of the order? We'll close the meeting. Meeting's adjourned.